So we'll start with SQL injection right now. I will try to make it as simple as possible in the layman terms. So let's see how this particular thing works, or what exactly SQL is. Now there is a database language that we call as SQL, that stands for structured query language. Structured query language is nothing but a relational database kind of thing, where everything is in terms of tables, rows, columns, and all the values present in that particular table is nothing but a entry. So you know what is a table. You are already using tables from a very long time. You know what is Excel, MS Excel, right? So you must have used MS Excel, where you create tables. There are rows, there are columns. So SQL injection is nothing but, we can say it's quite similar to that, where the data is stored inside those tables with the help of some queries. Queries is nothing but a code, in simple words. What exactly happens over here is, I will take even a simpler example to make you understand what is happening. Let me show it with the help of a tool called DVWA. So that is what we are going to learn today. First, let me show the tool, then you will be able to identify what exactly is happening. So now I would request you to kindly open your OWASP web browser, something like this, and click on this tool called Damn Vulnerable Web Application, DVWA. You should see something like this. So the default password in your case should be admin. Fine, so this is the web page interface. So I'm assuming that this is a banking website and you are a hacker and you want to hack that website, gather as much information as possible from that databases, move into the database, launch an attack on the database, and try to get all the details from the database. Database is nothing but a collection of tables where we store data in multiple tables. Clear? So now we are trying to launch an attack called SQL injection attack, where we try to make a connection with that database illegally, or we can say by bypassing the original flow of data, by finding out some vulnerabilities, by finding out some loopholes present in the system. So for that, let's have a look at this particular website. Click on SQL injection. But before that, do one thing. By default, there is this tab called DVWA security. So click on that. In your case, it will be something like this. It is by default set to high. So what this application is, this application allows you to make changes to the system. This application has 3 different levels where you can try to hack a low security version, medium security version, and high security version. And for today's purpose, today's demonstration purpose, we'll stick to low and medium if possible. We'll start with low. So simply select that drop down button and click on low and submit. Now go back to SQL injection tab. So let's see how this particular text box reacts to different commands. If I simply enter one and submit, what does it display? It displays something that is ID, first name, and last name. So what exactly is happening? So if I search something over here, if I go and enter 2, the second ID shows. If I go and enter 3, the third ID shows, and so on. Let me try for 6. 6 is also there. So what does it signify? So basically these are nothing but corresponding to users and their IDs. So if I enter 6 tak it's fine. If I enter 5 also works. But if I enter 7, it doesn't show any result. So it simply means that there are 6 users of this particular website. If I'm using a banking website, this sort of thing should not happen. That is a private information. So that should not be revealed. First of all, that is one of the vulnerabilities. So this sort of thing should not happen first. So you have found out one of the vulnerabilities. It is displaying the results as it is. Clear? Now next, what we should do? Now we'll try to display all the users at once. But for that, what we can do is we can view the source of this particular website. So at the bottom end, you can see there is an option called view source. Click on that view source. So if you view the source over here, you will be able to see something like this. Now what is this? This is nothing but the SQL query we were talking about. I will type it somewhere over here and let you know what exactly this means. So what does it mean? Select first name comma last name from users where user ID is something like this. So just have a look. Select first name comma last name from users where user ID is this. So what exactly this is doing? This is displaying something. Whenever I say select in SQL means display. Okay, so select first name. If you see, this first name is displayed over here. Similarly, last name is displayed over here, that is surname, from user. So I am fetching something from something called as users. So this users is nothing but a table. In simple words, I can say that select first name comma last name from users simply means I am selecting first name column, last name column from users where user ID is something which is supplied by the user through this text box. Again, I will repeat. Select first name comma last name, that is first name column, last name column from a table called users where the user ID matches with something called as ID. Is it clear? And this value is being sent through the browser. So now this ID is something which I am passing through this text box. So whenever I am entering 1, for example, this 1 is replacing this ID value. This ID will be replaced by 1, and then the query will work something like this. Select first name last name from users where user ID is 1. So wherever the user ID matches 1, that is where the values will be fetched from. So let's assume that the user name is this and the password is this. Now read this query. Try to understand this query. What exactly is happening? Select star. Star is nothing but a wildcard. Wildcard as in it will fetch everything. It will fetch everything wherever this condition matches. So try to understand what is happening in a traditional SQL setup. Select star from users, that is select all the values from the users table where username is Karen and password is 12345. So it will fetch only those values where this condition matches, where the username is Karen and the password is 12345, right? So select star, select all the values, all the rows from the users table, but it should match the username as Karen and password as 12345. So now this is how SQL works. But if we go back to this particular command, this command is something like this. Select first name, last name from users where user ID is 1. So let's see how we can do this. I will try some payloads. So on your screens, you can see some values, some scripts. If I copy this and paste it over here, let me show this first, then I will explain you what exactly I'm trying to do. And click on submit. If you copy this and paste it on your on the text box, this is what is shown to you. What is this? You have an error in your SQL syntax. Check the manual that corresponds to your MySQL server version for the right syntax to use near this at line 1. You saw something similar while I was explaining OWASP. Clear? So just focus on what exactly I'm trying to do. Now see this query. This should make things easier for you. Select star from users where username is Karen and password is this. Now what I will do is, suppose this is the query, that is select star from users where username is this and password is this. Now what I can do is I can add something like this at the end. If I add something like this, that is Karen colon and dash dash. What does this dash dash mean? It is mentioned over here. Whenever I'm adding double dash, it simply means it is commenting the rest of the code which is going to follow next. Suppose if the query at the backend is something like this, select star from users where username is Karen and password is 12345. I will try to break this query and make sure that whatever I type after Karen is simply skipped or ignored. So for that purpose, we can make use of something like this. What if instead of Karen in the first name, I type Karen single quote, then semicolon and then double dash? What will this do? any username or any password and we can log in. Exactly. So we are bypassing the authentication process. If you see these two queries over here, this is the actual query. Select star from users where username is this and password is this. Double dash in SQL is nothing but a comment. Suppose I know that Karen is one of the users who is actually one of the users of that website. The website will allow this particular command to run and the user will get access to the website. Is it making sense? That is in a nutshell what SQL injection is.